Good morning, everybody. It's about noon on Saturday. I think it's the 11th of April. I'm not positive of that, but it's Saturday. It's about noon, and I am starting this ride at Douglas Park, as I have many times. My wife and I got down last night, and it's a beautiful day. It's 57 degrees, so it's not warm, but certainly it's nice enough to be out on the bike. And it's supposed to really warm up this week. We should be down here until Wednesday, and the temperatures are really starting to rise this week down here and up in Horsham. In fact, up in Horsham, they are expecting it to hit 90 by Wednesday. So it'll be a little cooler down here, but still should get up into the 70s, into the high 70s, maybe even in the 80s. And I do plan to get back out on the bike several times on this trip. I will take a ride over to Cape May, and I will also take a ride over to Wildwood. So anyway, on this ride, I am going to take a ride to a little small community that in my previous 200 or so videos riding around on this Ninja down here, I've never ridden into. And it's actually in Middle Township. Cape May is in Lower Township. North Cape May is in Lower Township. And the villas are in Lower Township. But this is actually just above Lower Township, and it's in Middle Township. And the name of the community is Sunray Beach. And it's part of Delhaven, is the incorporated community. And the reason I'm going to take a ride up there's not a whole lot to see, but I noticed that on a podcast that my wife and I listen to when we're driving back and forth between Horsham and Cape May, there was an update on a very famous cold case about the abduction 30 years ago that remains unsolved of an 11-year-old boy in Sunray Beach. The name of the kid was Mark Heimbaughh, Himebaughh, Mark Heimbaughh. And it happened the Monday preceding Thanksgiving in 1991. And even though the FBI was called in and the FBI literally went to every single home in Sunray Beach and interviewed the residents of every single home. The case remains unsolved, and there's a lot of very perplexing aspects to the case, and I'll try to just give a brief synopsis of it as I'm riding up. I'm riding along the Delaware Bay right now, as you can see. Anyway, this child, Mark Heimball, was, I think, a special needs child. I think he had been diagnosed with OCD or anger management or something like that. And he was living with his mom at his home in Sunray Beach. I think the parents were split up, and the father, I think, lived over in Cape May. And he got off the bus on that Monday. I think it was November 25th, 1991. He got off the bus, came home, and his mom was asked by a neighbor to give her a lift up to an auto repair place to pick up her car. Her car was in, the neighbor's car was in being repaired or something. And so the mom would have been a very short, maybe 10 to 15 minute outing turned into more like a 45-minute outing. And that was because a brush fire happened along the Delaware Bay up by there, and Bayshore Road was closed to traffic because a lot of the smoke from the fire was crossing the road and making it impassable. So there was a lot of police and fire activity on Bayshore Road on the day and at the time of Mark's abduction, which makes it even stranger that it happened in the face of all of that police and fire activity. But anyway, Mark saw the smoke coming from a little further north along the Delaware Bay, around the edge of the villas, and like a lot of people, wanted to walk along the beach up there to observe the firefighting and putting out the brush fire. So his mom gave him permission to do that, thinking that she would only be gone for a few minutes. And he went out and he walked up to the scene of the brush fire in the swamps just behind the beach up there, which you'll see all this in a few minutes' time. And then the next reported sighting of Mark, and actually the last reported sighting of Mark was he was observed by an employee of Cape May County entering into the park, Cape May County park, with a young girl. They think the girl was younger than him, actually, and they had a pretty good description of her and the clothes that she was wearing. And that was the last time anyone saw Mark alive. There was also reports that when he was returning home from walking along the beach and up into the streets in Sunray Beach, there was a couple in a station wagon parked along, I think it's Delaware Avenue or Delaware Drive up there, and I'll be driving right along that, so you'll see it. But the woman stayed in the car, but the man was outside of the car, the station wagon, and there were some reports that Mark stopped and was chatting with this young man who was in his 30s, I guess, or claimed to be in his 30s. But anyway, his mom got home. He was not home. So after searching the area, the whole area, and not being able to find him, she called the police. And I think he got home from school at about 2:30 or 2:40 in the afternoon. And his mom left to give the neighbor a ride at about 4 o'clock. And that's about the same time that he left to go look at the fire. And she ended up reporting him as missing to the police by, I think it was by no later than 6 o'clock. So it was not long. And I think one of the early issues at the time was it was treated as a missing child as opposed to a child abduction. But the police did come out and they did a quick investigation, and they were not able to find him. But the next day the search continued when he didn't come back all night. And he was not reported to have been seen anywhere. Another search ensued, and they found a sneaker of his on the beach. And either he removed the sneaker or it came off during some kind of a struggle. But they used police canine units, and they followed his scent north from Sunray Beach up to Delhaven Beach, and I think up to Roosevelt Boulevard in Delray Beach, and that's where the scent went cold. So he lost his sneaker on Sunray Beach, but the scent, and I don't know if that was before or after he was seen entering the park with the young girl. They think it had to have been after he was seen entering the park, because the individual that was a county employee that said he saw Mark and the young girl gave very clear description of the young girl, and he did not mention that Mark was missing a sneak. And it was very cold, so it would have been noticeable. It was the week before Thanksgiving. I think the temperatures were in the low 40s then, so they would have noticed a young boy walking without a shoe on one foot. So I'm going up, I'm on Bayshore Road, going up through the villas, and I'm going to take a ride up just to show this little community. If anybody's interested in true crime and wants to listen to, there are many podcasts about this case, and if you are interested and you do happen to listen to it, I thought I would take a ride up, since it's right down here, and show you Sunray Beach. It's a very small community, and that adds another level of complexity to the case, because it is so small that everybody knows everybody, and no one recognized the young girl from the sketch that was given by the county employee. And when I say everybody knows everybody, this is a little community. It's almost like an island. You can get to it only from Bayshore Road. There's no other way to enter this community from the north or the south. And of course on the west side is the Delaware Bay. So the only way back into this community is off of Bayshore Road. And I don't know how many homes there are there, but I think there's maybe at most 1,000 residents. So if there's 2 residents to a home, you're probably looking at most 500 homes in this little island of a community. So everybody knows everybody, and no one recognized this girl, which led to a lot of speculation that maybe she was, somehow tied to whoever abducted Mark, and she lured him over into the park, or perhaps the employee was just mistaken about what he saw, or mistaken in his description. But he gave a very, very clear description of the girl and her clothing. So they had the Coast Guard come out, and the Coast Guard used helicopters to search up all around the area. And this little island community is really in the midst of a lot of swampland. So some people will speculate that maybe he somehow wandered into the marshes and died in the marshes, or that he somehow died in the Delaware Bay, but no sign of him was ever found, and the case remains unsolved to this day. Now this is the villas. Villas west are to my left, and villas east are to my right. And I have driven many times throughout villas west and recorded videos of that, but I've never really gone beyond the villas while recording a video. Obviously, my wife and I, when we go back to Horsham, if we don't go up the Garden State Parkway, this is the way we go home. This area of the villas off to my left here, where this water tower is referred to as Miami Beach, and that's Miami Drive right there, Miami Avenue. So this is the marshlands that I'm talking about, Off to my left is where over by the beach is where the fire was. And you don't have a real good view because of this tall grass, but this is miles and miles of marshland. And this coming up on my right is the park that Mark was observed entering. I'm turning left on Sunray Road, and this is actually the street that he lived on. And that's his home right there, the one that is for sale. So he left there and walked down here. And you can see that sign, Cape May County Park South, but he would have walked down to the beach and headed up the beach, or down the beach, I guess, south, heading south, following the beach to get to the site of the grass fire that was, generating a lot of activity. This is all swampland here. So you can see there's no way to enter this community coming from the south, from the villas. Road dead ends there. coming north, it dead ends here. So you can see it's a little sort of an island, if you will, of a community. Very limited access, and there was a lot of traffic on these streets the day he was abducted, because Bayshore Road was closed. When I drove through the part after I left the villas and drove through that area where it was all marshland on either side, that was closed to traffic. So any traffic coming down Bayshore Road, the way my wife and I come down when we come to the shore, because that was closed to traffic, all southbound traffic was diverted into this little community to turn around and go back out to Route 9 or to Route 47. But it's a very, very small community. And it's hard to imagine that an 11-year-old rambunctious little boy could have been abducted and no one saw it happen. And that's the playground that a county employee saw Mark entering with a young girl, younger than him actually. So anyway, even though there's not a whole lot to see in that little community, Sunray Beach, I thought I would take a ride through it in case anyone is following true crime stories or podcasts and wants to listen to a podcast. That's the community and that's the home. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, his mother still lives there to this day. So I think I'll pull over here and end this video. So that's it. Again, I appreciate everybody coming back to the channel and watching this. I'm sure this has very limited interest, but you know, it's a very well-known cold case file that followers of true crime might be familiar with, and there's not many of those down here. In fact, this is the most famous one. So I thought I would just take a ride up to show everybody the community, Sunray Beach. So thank you for watching, everybody, and I will be back to record my ride back home. Take care.